Let's talk about why I prefer an optical viewfinder over an electronic viewfinder. Well, it definitely seems like the market is gearing us towards mirrorless cameras, and I'm not opposed to a mirrorless camera. I mean, I have a mirrorless camera, but when it comes to serious landscape photography, I prefer an optical viewfinder as opposed to a mirrorless camera. And really, I'm not opposed to the mirrorless camera. It's just the electronic viewfinder that comes with it that I'm opposed to. I don't like the electronic viewfinder. There's just something about looking through that viewfinder and seeing this pixelated screen. It's an electronic representation of reality, and I think that's really what I don't like. The electronic viewfinder is packed with features. I mean, you can look into the viewfinder and you can see a histogram. You can play back your images. You can zoom in through the eyepiece. I mean, that's really cool. I mean, I want to like that. Who doesn't want to like that? You know, sometimes I wonder if I'm just resisting change, you know, and I'd like to think that I'm open-minded. And I have looked at mirrorless cameras, and honestly, I mean, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy my D850, and I don't see upgrading that camera anytime in the near future. I have no reason to upgrade. It has everything that I want on it. And although the electronic viewfinder has some nice features, they just don't outweigh, at least for me, what the benefits of the optical viewfinder provide. There are some disadvantages to electronic viewfinder too. I mean, moving subjects, for example, they tend to lag behind in the electronic viewfinder, but when you're looking through the optical viewfinder, you see things in real time, in reality. And I think we spend enough time on computers and behind the computer screen, behind our phones, and we just, you know, when I come outdoors in nature, I just want to see the world as it is. And I think that's why I like shooting through the lens and using an optical viewfinder, because I don't have this distorted reality. And, you know, that really resonates with me. And I realize that we're capturing digital images and it's a representation of reality anyway. I mean, well, I shoot film too, and film is still a representation of reality. And so one might think, well, you know, what's the difference of viewing it on an electronic viewfinder? And really, there is no difference, but at least for me, when I'm in the field and I'm capturing a moment, and I think that's what my photography is all about. I'm trying to recreate the moment, an image as I saw it on a beautiful morning or a beautiful sunset. That's how I saw it. And I don't want to be at the scene viewing that on an electronic viewfinder or viewing it on the back of an LCD. I don't want to have to stand back and look at my LCD and view the image. I use my LCD to check for sharpness. I'll blow up my image and scan around the scene and look for distracting elements. I mean, there's a use for it. And yeah, the electronic viewfinder, you can do that through the eyepiece. And that's an awesome thing. And don't get me wrong, I'd really like to have that histogram in that eyepiece. But I also use my LCD for the histogram, and it works for me. But the point is, I guess if I sum all this up, what am I really trying to say? It's this: when I'm at the scene and it's quiet and it's beautiful and I'm really taking it in with my eyes, I mean, I don't want another screen in front of me in between that. Not now. I want to look through the lens and see it just like I'm looking at it right now. That's what it's about for me. You know, one of the other disadvantages of electronic viewfinder is it eats up battery life. I mean, my camera doesn't have to be on to look through the optical viewfinder. In fact, my film cameras don't have to be on. My DSLRs don't have to be on. So I don't burn up battery. I can look through the viewfinder at any time. And that's a real advantage for me, especially when it's cold. I really don't want to burn through batteries. You know, I haven't even talked about composing your image. And I realize that mirrorless is popular now, and a lot of people don't even use their optical viewfinder. They don't use the electronic viewfinder. They don't use the viewfinder at all. They use the LCD on the back of the camera to compose their image. And honestly, that's just a non-starter for me. I just can't do that. I really enjoy bringing the camera up close and looking through that optical viewfinder to compose my image. And it allows me to kind of take in the whole image and just kind of scan. I do like a 360 around the side of the frame to make sure I don't have distracting elements. It's a system that works for me. And I realize the advantages of the LCD and blowing it up and looking for distracting objects. And I do that too. I use that. But I just can't compose my image on the LCD. And I use eye cups for a reason. I mean, it cuts out a lot of the external light. And I know that you can do that with electronic viewfinder, optical viewfinder. And yeah, there's extensions that you can get for your LCDs and stick your face in that. But for me, the LCD is just, yeah, it's a tool to help me check sharpness, review my images, check my histogram, but it's not a tool for composing images. You know, I often hear from people that wear eyeglasses, they don't like looking through the optical viewfinder, through the electronic viewfinder. They don't use the viewfinder at all because they have to take their glasses off. But, you know, I find that the built-in diopters are pretty good, and even some of the old film cameras, you could buy corrected lens pieces to put in the eyepiece. So kind of a moot point, but then again, I wear reading glasses, not regular glasses, so that's just a concern. Just because I prefer an optical viewfinder doesn't necessarily mean that you do. You may prefer the electronic viewfinder. You may prefer to shoot on the back of your LCD. But what's the point? The point is, get out here, bring your camera, capture an award-winning image, capture an okay image, but get out with your camera and enjoy yourself. Well, it's getting cold out here, fall time, you know. Yes, even in Texas we have fall colors here, but made me think of you know, how much I'm willing to endure this year and how far I'll go for a photograph. Matter of fact, I made a video last week on how far would you go for a photograph, and I'll leave a link in the end of the video description. You should check that out though. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. But hey, if I don't see you down the road, I hope to see you on the trail somewhere.